The quickest way to get your first major placement as a music producer includes a few steps that I'm about to go over right now. The first step is to dedicate yourself to becoming a sample maker. Now, what is a sample maker? A sample maker is someone who makes samples, right? They make melodic compositions for other producers to take and use it on their beats, right? So they make the samples, they make the pianos, they make the strings, they make the guitars, they make the synthesizer patterns, and they send those to another producer who has probably connections with bigger artists than they can even access, and they send those beats to the artist. You, as a sample maker, just make the melodic compositions and then send those to the producers that you have access to, right? We're going to get into getting access to these producers later, but just know that this is the easiest way to start getting placements as a new producer. How do I know? Because I am the sample maker. I've gotten the majority of my placements from making samples and sending those samples to other producers who are bigger than me and who have more connections in the industry than me. This is how I got songs with Lil Baby, Chris Brown, Pooh Shiesty, Rollo Rodriguez, Lil Durk, and many more major artists, okay? So I'm not just talking. This is something that I actually do and works for me. And because of it, I was able to literally become a full-time producer. I was able to travel and do what I want to do when I want to do it because I done made a lot of samples in my life, okay? So that's step one. Dedicate yourself to becoming a sample maker. And my name is nilewavegod, by the way, for those of you who don't know. If you think I'm capping, just look at my Rap Genius. Just look up nilewavegod on Rap Genius, okay? Back to the steps. So that was step one. Step two is you have to get really good at it. You have to really get good. Right now, a lot of people think, oh, sample making is saturated. It's not saturated. It's not. It's a lot of people doing it, but they're doing it at a very mediocre level. So somebody might watch this video right now, right? And you might be like, oh yeah, I'm about to start making samples. And then you might spend like a week making samples, and then you try to look for every single producer's email and start sending those samples out, right? You're gonna be like, yo, can I send loops? Can I send loops? Can I send loops? And it's like, that's not, you can't do it like that. If you do it like that, yeah, you are gonna be saturated because everybody's trying to do it like that. It's not how you do it. Right? You have to get really good first because it's the quality of your samples that's going to stand out amongst the sea of mediocre sample makers. That's what makes the difference. If you're just making stuff just like everybody else, yeah, you're going to have a problem. Okay? So you got to get really good first. And this is the part that a lot of people skip. This means grinding for hours, just making samples, not even worrying about sending them out, just worrying about making sure each sample gets better, every single one. Every single one gets better. That's what you got to focus on. You got to focus on how many hours am I putting into this? How many samples am I able to recreate of my favorite samples? Do I have the best quality sounds that I can get? Am I grinding to get better VSTs? Grinding to get better sounds? Like, am I actually putting that work in? These are the questions to ask yourself because this is that time to focus on it. It's like in that scene in Rocky. If you ever seen Rocky, which is a classic movie, I don't know. You know, if you haven't seen it, you need to go watch it, right? But it's one of those movies where there's that cut scene, and Rocky, he's going through this period of time where he's literally like, he's like running around shadow boxing, he's running through the rain, he's running up steps, running down steps because he's training for a big fight. So for you, this is your scene where you're literally training to try to start getting placements. But you have to put in that period of training for it. If you don't put in that period of training, then you're trying to skip. You're trying to skip the period of pain and the period of hard work that it takes to get to that level where you do get to get placements, where you do get to say, you know what, I'm going to go to Bali next week because I can, because I'm making money for my samples. Whether you're selling sample kits, whether you're getting placements with those samples and you're receiving revenue from, you know, the royalties that you're receiving, whatever it is, you can do that as a sample maker. Okay? So you got to go through that training first. You got to get nice. So that may mean taking a class. That may mean watching a YouTube video. That may mean, you know, learning from somebody who's ahead of you, watching somebody cook up. All these different things are things that you can do to get yourself better. But nothing beats just literally just putting time in the lab and then having other people review and seeing like, okay, is this good or is this not? And now it could be pretty hard to do that alone. It could be pretty hard to do that, to get nice when you don't have anybody, you know, like an objective ear to listen to your music or to see where you're at and to tell you what you could do to get better. Now, I do offer a one-on-one mentorship program, which you can apply for in the description. If you would like that sort of accountability, you have somebody one-on-one who could like be like, nah, that ain't it, or that is it, and could kind of give you guidance throughout this whole process of you getting nice, learning how to build your brand, and learning how to network, all that. That stuff I teach in that program. So if you're interested in that, hit the link below. But let's continue, okay? The link is in my description, by the way, and in the pinned comment. But let's continue. Step 3. The next thing that you need to do after you've gotten nice is you need to develop a brand identity. Okay, so that brand identity is going to be, how do people recognize you, right? When I say certain names like Kavi, what do you see? Or Max Shooter, right? Or TB Digital, or Producer Grind, or Cymatics. Like when I see these different names of these different producer brands, because that's what they are, what do you see? When I say Nile Waves, what do you see, right? You may see something different for each of us because we all have developed our own sense of brand identity based on the things that we put out for the producer community, based off of, you know, what we even decide to talk about in our videos, right? Or even how we talk. This all goes into our brand. Now, do you have to become a YouTuber or be, I don't even consider myself a YouTuber, right? I'm just a producer who likes to inform the community, give guidance, give game, you know, but I am a producer first, right? So if you are someone who wants to still be a producer first, but also wants to, you know, put some content out because you know the content is going to help you to bring more people in to what you're doing, get you more opportunities, get you more chances to get placements, then you have to build a strong brand to start out with. So how do you build that brand? You got to think about what things do you enjoy, what things do you want to be associated with, what things do you not want to be associated with. Because if I don't want to be goofy, you know, if I don't want people to think Nile Waves and think, oh, that guy's goofy, I'm not going to do goofy stuff in my videos. But if I don't care, then I will do goofy stuff in my videos. And then you're going to be thinking like, oh yeah, Nile Waves is goofy, right? So you got to decide for yourself what you want that brand image to be. And based off of that, that may even inform the type of name that you choose. Your producer name, you might change it after watching this, right? That might change the color schemes that you decide to use in your videos. That may change even the types of melodies that you want to create, which brings me to my next point. You want to niche down, right? So once you're nice at making melodies, you might be very versatile. You might be able to make Afrobeat melodies, reggaeton melodies, trap melodies, you know what I'm saying? You might be able to make all sorts of different melodies. But if you want to get a placement as quickly as possible, what you need to do is you need to literally create one type of melody for very long, I'm not even going to say very long, for about 3 to 6 months straight, maybe even longer. But you need to create that one type of melody in a hot market. So for example, Florida is really hot right now, right? If I was just starting out, if I was new, I would literally be like, you know what? Or if, you know, you took all my placements, everything from me, I'd be like, Florida's hot, I'm only making Florida melodies right now. That's it. That's literally it. I'm a master that sound. That sound is hot right now. I'm mastering that sound, and I'm making it every single day, and I'm sending it to every single producer in that area that I can get a contact for. That's all I'm doing for the next 6, 12 months. That's it. I guarantee you I have some placements. I guarantee you that. Why? Because you have to think about supply and demand, right? There's a big demand for certain types of melodies right now. If you can supply those melodies to those producers and they're high quality, you will get placements. That's just inevitable, right? But if you're trying to make Afrobeat melodies one day and then reggaeton melodies one day and then you're trying to make country melodies the next day, you're spreading yourself very thin. You can do that if you want, but we're talking about what's going to be the quickest way for you to get that placement. Niching down, choosing a specific niche that is hot, and then just locking in on that. And that'll become associated with your brand too, because people are going to look at you and be like, oh yeah, he got those types of melodies. So even when they're looking for that, like, oh man, I need some of that dark Florida stuff right now. Oh yeah, you know, produced by Edmonton makes those, right? Boom, they're going to hit you up or look in your, you know, look at your page because you created a brand, right? You created this image, you are active on Instagram enough to where people can see you're a real person and not a robot, right? They're going to look for you and they're going to use your stuff over somebody else's stuff who is just making anything, because you have giving them some sort of clarity about who you are, what you produce. Okay? Very important. Now, the final, well, I won't say final step, but the next step is to have that email list, you know, to start building that. You got to build an email list of producers who are getting placements or who have the potential to get placements. Very important. When I say the potential to get placements, I'm saying look up snippets of unreleased songs by upcoming artists, not even the biggest artists. So like you might look at an artist like Rob49 and be like, okay, he's a pretty big Florida artist. Let me look at all the people who produce for him. Look at snippets of other Florida artists who may be not as known and try to figure out, okay, who produced this snippet? Because it might be a producer who doesn't even have any release placements yet, but that could be somebody who's easier for you to get to send samples to. So now instead of competing with everybody trying to send samples to Rob49's producers, you're sending samples to these producers who don't even have a release placement yet. So everybody is not, you know, they're not on every sample maker's radar. So now you have a better chance of actually them not only listening to your music, them responding to your DM or your message, but you also have a better chance of them actually using what you have and getting that song to that artist. Okay? So now you're going to build that email list. And then the next step is to send to that email list as consistently as you can. Understand, you don't want to just send it every single day, like twice a day, 3 times a day, 4 times a day. That's too much. I would say the max you want to do is once a day. Minimum you want to do right now, we're talking about as quickly as possible, 2 times a week. I would say aim for 3 times a week. If you can't do every day, aim for 2 to 3 times a week. Why? Because the more that they see you in their inbox, the more they're going to start to recognize you, your sound, what you have to offer. And then the more they're going to start to like when they see your name pop up, because you're actually providing quality, because you went through that period of time where you decided to get nice. So now they know, okay, every time I open these melodies up, it's going to be quality. Most producers, when I look through my loop email, the one that's public, most times I don't see good loops. I have to like click through a lot before I get to some nice ones, right? So if you're somebody who's sending fire every single time, yeah, you're gonna get that star next to your name. You know, people are gonna be like, yeah, I need to, every time he sends, I need to check them out because he's nice or she's nice or they're nice, right? So these are the things you have to do. This is what will bring you to that place of getting a placement as quickly as possible. I'm telling you, if I do this, I could literally get placements. If I had to start over, I guarantee 3 to 6 months. And I'm saying if I keep my skills. Now, if I didn't have the skills that I have right now, because I've been making so many melodies, it might take me a bit longer, maybe a year and a half, starting from zero. That means starting from like literally 0 sorts of producing knowledge. But this is what it takes, man. Like, it could take a while. It could take more than a year. It could take a few years to get nice starting from 0, depending on what your musicality is. But I'm not going to get too deep into that. That's a whole nother video about getting nice and best practices to get nice as you can quickly. But this is just about what you could do to get placement as quick as you can, right? So that's what I would say. If you liked this video, if you felt like you got some value out of it, make sure you hit that like button. If you're interested in the one-on-one mentorship program with me, Nile Waves, make sure you hit the link in the description and in the pinned comment. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.